It's all about you. It's all about you, baby. It was hard to chat with my friend Jo about her darling boy Ben. There were a number of emotional moments as we spoke, and there were so many things to discuss we could have made this podcast a couple of hours long easily. But this is a heart-wrenching account of shocking negligence at birth and the long battle that her husband Robin and Jo had to get their family into any kind of a decent space. And this podcast is all about your mental health and how to look after that. And there are so many takeaways while we were chatting. But the one thing for me in relation to this podcast was Jo reminding us that asking for professional help is vital at some points in your life. It can be hard to ask, but it is worth it if you go to the right person or organisation. And it's okay to change your mind sometimes when you're given somebody to help you if they don't work. Just change your mind and find somebody new. But it is worth the effort. There's so many areas that Jo wanted to touch on, but in this recording, in my view, she gave enough of herself. This podcast is sponsored and supported by 365daysofbreastcancer.com. So, welcome Jo to It's All About You, the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for
Pleasure.
coming down. Jo, you and I have known each other for a long time now. And we're here to talk about a special thing today. But before we delve into that, I just wondered if you could start by telling us a bit about your family makeup.
Right, so I met my husband Robin when I was 19, back in 1998. Wow. We dated for quite a few years, and in 1998 along came our first son Ollie. 3 years after that came along Ben, and then a year after came Liam. We finally got married in 2003, deciding that we sort of knew each other by then. Yeah. We knew what to expect. And here we are today. Yeah. Happy family.
3 boys under your
boys,
belt.
16, 17 and 21.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Yeah, I can't quite imagine what 3 boys does to you, to be honest. But,
well, 4 with a husband.
Yeah. So, Jo, I know your family quite well, and Liam and Ollie are doing great. That's your youngest and your eldest.
Yep.
But the reason we're chatting today really is about your journey with Ben. And I just wondered if you can give us some context about Ben and, well, the birth of Ben, actually. Yeah. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay, so I had a normal pregnancy. Nothing wrong at all. All the scans were fine. All the tests were fine. Went into labour naturally 5 days early. Unfortunately, the birth was a bit traumatic. It was very quick. Lots of problems. His breathing was low. He had the cord wrapped around his neck. He was jaundiced. He was small for dates. So unfortunately, I had to go to the special care unit. He was there for a few hours and they brought him back to me, apparently okay, where I had him skin-to-skin contact because he was cold. And I was trying to feed him myself and I kept telling them that he wasn't feeding, and they kept saying, yes, he is, he's just cold, he's just tired, he's a very small baby, he'll get it in the end. And I'd already had one child, so I sort of knew that this wasn't quite right.
It's always amazing how you become an expert
after
you've only had one.
Exactly,
yeah.
And I just knew that something wasn't quite right. But you put your faith into these people. They're the experts and they know what they're talking about. And I just thought, okay, he's small, he's tired.
And you're tired.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
At the time I had him as well, the hospital in question was closing down the maternity unit. So I was in the, the antenatal ward after I'd had him. And I was in this big ward on my own overnight. I felt very lonely. And of course, a bit worried about him not feeding. And I asked if they would if he could have a bottle.
So were staff coming in and out to you?
Occasionally,
Yeah.
occasionally. I mean, I had to call them to say, is it possible he could have a bottle? Because I wasn't confident enough that he was actually taking the breast milk.
Yeah.
So they bought me 2 bottles, actually. So I tried one, and it just dribbled out of his mouth. He didn't take any in. So that, to me, was an issue. They took him off to give me a rest, because obviously he was up all night. I was trying to feed. Next day, they came round, they gave him the all clear and said if I wanted to go home, we could go home. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to stay in here any longer.
Well, and as a second mum, you can't get out of there fast enough, can you?
Well, you can't. And also, that was Monday morning, and all the pregnant women were coming in on the ward, walking around with their TENS machines. And I was sat there, in a bed with a newborn baby that, I was struggling to feed. And I just thought, no, let's just go home to the comfort of our own home. And that's what we did. We took the advice of the doctor. He said he was fine. Let's just go. So we did. It was the next day that it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I went home on the Monday. 3 o'clock the following morning, he had a feed, or what I thought was a feed. And that was the last feed he took. And by about 10 o'clock, I was trying to feed him again, and he went grey, stiff.
Oh, okay.
All the colour went from him. It was instant, but it worried me. And we called the midwife. She was on her way anyway. She came over. She took one look at him and said, this is not right. He's going straight back to hospital. So he went straight back into the high dependency unit, which he was in there for 8 days. They did all sorts of tests on him. They couldn't have tested him more thoroughly this time, and discovered that his blood sugars were unrecordable. So he'd had a hypoglycemic episode causing brain damage. I stayed with him for 8 days in the high dependency ward. They managed to stabilise him. He started having seizures.
So it was all that fast?
Yeah. So the grey episode he had was a seizure, we found out.
Yeah.
They managed to stabilise him with medication, feeding him through a tube, monitoring him closely. And after 8 days, he was strong enough to come home. And we thought that was the end of it.
It was just an episode at birth.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody told us anything. No one said that he would be brain damaged. Nobody said that he would really have any problems. So we took him home and started to enjoy him. At the same time, a friend of mine had her son a week later, and we would get together, and I sort of started noticing that he was a bit slower.
Right.
Ben was a bit slower than her son. And also I started to compare him against Ollie, who was very quick at doing everything. And I just thought, he might be just slower. Some children develop a bit slower, like some speak later.
But was that episode that you went through at birth, was that always sat in the back of your mind? Were you watchful, or were you able to let go? Did you let go of it all?
No, it was always there.
Yeah.
Once he started to become, once he wasn't as quick as the others around him. And we started to notice that his eyes wouldn't focus on your eyes.
Yeah.
So he was back to and fro from the hospital there, but still no one said anything about brain damage. We didn't know anything about this. And so life went on. In the meantime, I found out that I was pregnant with Liam, which was rather a surprise.
Gorgeous one. We have to.
Very
really
much.
have to add that back bit in. Yeah.
We do. And it was a month after Liam was born that Ben woke up one morning. So Ben was 13 months old, and he was jerking and sort of nodding. His whole body was sort of jerking. Lasted a minute or so. So we took him to the doctors.
So had you got Ben, or were you still pregnant at this point?
No, we'd had Liam. Liam was Liam was a month old.
Cracking. So that's a real tough thing for you. It's tough enough having a newborn without discovering all of that.
Exactly that.
And Ollie at what age?
Ollie was 4.
Yeah.
I know, I'm mad.
Yeah.
So we took him to the doctors. He wasn't sure what it was. We took a video recording of him doing this jerking movement, so he referred us to the hospital, and that is where our
diagnosis came.
Journey started. Well, we didn't get a diagnosis to start with. We just got an epilepsy diagnosis.
Right.
And that he was he had a global learning delay.
Okay.
So Yeah, but nobody said that was due to his birth. So we just thought it was bad luck, and it was because he was small for dates, and he'd he'd had a difficult birth. We just put it down to that. And it was only, now timing flies by, and I can't be accurate with my dates here, but 2 or 3, I think he was, maybe 4. We decided, because Ben was quite difficult to get from A to B, because he just wouldn't do stuff, we decided we'd try and apply for a blue badge. But he could walk and he wasn't blind. So they said no. The only way that we could get a diagnosis for him was to go and get his medical records. And that's where our story starts, really.
You took the decision to fight for his care after you were really quite cruelly discarded.
Yes.
And you were told that everything was normal as normal could be.
Yeah.
And that was it. So the blue badge took you on a journey, well, that you never could have anticipated.
No.
I mean, we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where we picked up our friendship, is at that point.
Exactly.
Because we met through Liam and my son Oscar at primary school.
We did, yeah.
And I just want to, say, I had no idea what you were going through at the time. I just remember Liam going through a tricky part, as all kids do.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I stood chatting to you and you were telling me about what you were dealing with at home, it came quite clear to me why Liam was probably struggling a bit at that point. So the ramifications that all of this has is colossal.
Definitely.
So your blue badge, carry on from there.
So the blue badge, yes. So we applied for we got a diagnosis that you've got a learning difficulty, etc., etc. And we were eventually given a blue badge, but we were already in the system.
Yeah,
then.
And you had to fight for your blue badge,
We
and
had
there
to
the fight
fight for
started.
that.
Is that
Exactly.
That's right, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrendous. You just have to fight for absolutely everything, and you're already fighting at home.
Yeah.
With your emotions.
There's so many layers to it, isn't there?
There is.
There is.
I mean,
and it's not just Ben. It's your relationship with you and Robin.
Well, and Ollie, he was 4 and a half.
Relationship with your children.
Yeah.
Their relationship with each other.
Yeah.
How can a 4.5-year-old and a little baby understand why their middle brother's not behaving the same way as they are? That's very difficult to grow up with.
Yeah, I mean, they've never had that relationship that they should have had.
No.
There was it was almost like there was Ollie and Liam as brothers, and Ben was obviously he was a brother, but he wasn't a brother like a normal brother would be, and so he wasn't sort of included in their play.
Yeah, in the games and
exactly, unless we instigated it, like on the trampoline or something, which.
And also, Ben's behaviour was too erratic for them to cope with.
He would slap.
He would, yeah.
It was all right for Ollie because he was bigger, but Liam being smaller, he took the brunt.
Well, I didn't want to say, but when we first met, I remember talking round, we were at a party.
That's
and
right.
You were telling me that Ben had come down all week and thought it was the greatest of fun to swipe Liam's orange juice and breakfast either out of his hand or off the table. And he thought that was great fun.
He did.
But of course that put Liam under an enormous pressure for a little totty as he was,
He didn't understand.
He had no idea.
The right way
it looked like a violent act rather than a, from Ben's point of view.
Ben was just trying to get a reaction.
He was
just trying to play, but that was he didn't know how to play.
No, and he used to laugh when he did it. Yeah,
he did.
Oh, we've had incidences, haven't we? When he, I was at your house and he threw about 5 mobile phones in the swimming pool.
Yes, paddling pool.
He absolutely just loved that.
Yeah, he did. He did. He thought it was great fun, and to run off with it and throw it over the gate.
Yeah,
and we chased him, and he loved it.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not the correct behaviour.
No.
But obviously he didn't know that.
No.
And so it has been difficult for certainly for the boys. So they just kept themselves to themselves really, and didn't really include him. It was difficult to include him.
Yeah, of course.
You couldn't leave him alone for a minute.
No.
So my life was really difficult. At the time Robin was in the police. But shift patterns just made it so difficult.
Joe, honestly.
And he would come home after like some awful incidents at work.
Yeah,
and I'd expect him to help me with Ben, but he couldn't.
No, he needed to process his own life.
He did, and so in the end, he decided that he'd have to leave.
Right.
Because he couldn't do the two things, and I was at the point where I just wanted someone to come and take Ben away, and not bring him back.
Yeah.
Because I was just so
falling to bits.
Oh, I was absolutely.
I don't know. You didn't have a nervous breakdown, to be honest.
Oh, I probably came close, but you've got friends and family around you, and my mother-in-law was a tower of strength at the time.
Yeah.
So we were able to have the odd hour here and there.
Yeah.
But it was, and when he went to school, I used to get, when he came home, so Ben would go off to school, went to school in Wickham, special needs school. Taxi would pick him up, and then I would breathe, because I knew that I'd got 5 hours of just getting on with whatever.
Together.
Exactly. And then the taxi would turn up, and I would just think, oh gosh, here we go again.
Yeah.
And I feel a massive amount of guilt
I
feeling
knew
like
you
that.
were going to say that,
And
but the truth is, normal mums feel like that.
Yeah.
I can be with you. I used to put Oscar to bed and be relieved he was alive, and in the morning when he woke up, I'd think, oh my God, here we go again. I loved him to within an inch of his life, but it was a terrifying couple of years we had with him, just because he was normal, running around being a nutter.
Yeah.
So to feel like that, I can completely get what you're saying. I can.
It was horrendous. I just,
because you're trying to do your best for him, and you want to do your best for him, but it's not just the physical activity, and he's getting stronger all the time. It's the emotional pull on you every time you look at him.
Exactly. And when he,
and that doesn't go, it's day after day, it's relentless.
And when he sort of lash out and hurt me, he headbutted me once and hurt my mouth. And I've got a problem with one of my teeth now. It's all tingles on and off because of it. And I felt I was resentful towards him. And I just put him in his bedroom, and then I just sat on the top of the stairs and I was staring at him. And I did cry. I didn't lock him in the bedroom, let me just put that forward now. We had the door taken off, and he had a big tall gate on there so I could see him. And I just sat there on the landing watching him, and I just cried and cried, and I just didn't know what to do. He was happy he was happy, he was in his room, he was playing.
And he wouldn't know that he'd done what he'd done.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean,
I remember a time as he was getting bigger, this, bothered me enormously for you, because I just have to put it out there that I always call her my pocket-sized friend for a reason, in that she fits neatly in my pocket. She's quite small, my friend Jo. But you were walking upstairs with him, and you've got to help him, and you're at the back and he's at the front. Mm-hmm. And I remember the time that he pushed back and you were both down the stairs. Yeah. That's when, for me... it was way past.
Yeah, I mean, and he actually headbutted backwards and hit me in the neck, and I couldn't breathe probably for a few seconds. That frightened me, actually. Yeah. So we had to get help. We had to try and get some help. I mean, we tried, but, it's not forthcoming, really. Certain bits are, but you have to really fight for other bits, and it's only when you're in the system that more stuff becomes available. And we eventually got a wonderful carer to help us in the evening with Ben, who incidentally is still with us now. Yeah. So this is 10, 11 years now.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. He's a ray of sunshine.
He is the most wonderful of people. Yeah. We just couldn't have survived without him. No. So, he was there. He helped us. He looked after Ben. He 3 hours in the evening for us every evening. And also Ben was given a respite once a week. Right. And every 6th weekend he had a weekend. So people would say to us when he was away, "Oh, are you going to do stuff?" And we'd say, "No,
I'm just going to sit here and stare at the walls."
We do just nothing like everybody else does on the weekend. I just don't want any aggro hassle. No. Just want to be.
You want the peace.
Exactly.
Peace
and
in
quiet.
your head. Yeah.
Bit of normality.
Yeah.
So that's
During this time, and I'm picking up on a second layer here, really, is because we've got a very strong friendship, and we've been through so many things together. Mm-hmm. I just want you to kind of touch on what that means really for both of us, actually, and your other friendships that you've got as well, because when you're going through a traumatic experience of any description, you cannot possibly get through on your own. And if you're not used to connecting to other people, I think that must be really tough. I encourage everybody that I speak to. I mean, I went through cancer, and since then I've got a lot of cancer friends now, and I meet them for coffee when they're going through treatment and try and boost them up. And I've written things for cancer. And one of the big things that I do talk about is making the connections so that you have got support, and people do want to support you. And so, you know, I look at our friendship, which has gone through so many twists and turns in our families, that, you know, it's priceless, really.
It is. I mean, sometimes you just you've got all those friends around you, but you still feel really, really lonely.
Yeah, you don't want to ask for help, do you?
No, you don't. It took me a long time to ask for help. Yeah. My friends were saying, you know, go and see somebody. You know, you need help, basically. Personally, it took me a long time to go to the doctors, but I needed that push from friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes just going for a coffee, just for an hour.
I agree. It's a lifesaver.
It's a tiny piece in the day.
It is.
But you need that.
It makes you understand that you're not on your own, that there are people there wanting to help you, or just normal conversation to take you out of where you are.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I just needed a different environment sometimes as well, a different four walls to look at.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I felt that I was going mad, but then again I was feeling guilty
for taking that time
out.
Yeah. So one of the things I talk about quite a lot here, and this is prime at the opposite, at the very top end of the scale, because I think mothers just like to nail themselves to the cross a bit. If you hand a mother a cross, she'll find the nails and put herself up there, because we're all busy and we've got to do it, and it goes on and on. What I learned through my experience and sitting on my sofa a lot when I was so poorly was, I spoke to you about it, that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first and fill your own self up and put yourself in a good space, so that can then spill out to your friends and family. And it's a better way of being than running on fumes. You know, you're running on empty all the time. And you must have been, I don't know where you must have been, really.
I never had a full tank.
No, I'm sure you didn't.
I'm not sure I do now.
No, I definitely see you don't have a full tank. But, I mean, we laugh about... We do, don't we? We just laugh about all sorts of stuff.
All the time.
But the truth is, that's a tough ride.
It is. I mean, and it wasn't going to happen to me.
No.
These things happen to other people.
No, they do, that's right, yeah.
You know, I mean, he was born a normal child.
Yeah.
So for this to happen was a huge shock.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, he's still a baby to me now. He's still only 18 months. But yet he's 17.
Yeah.
He's going to be 18 next year.
Because my image of Ben is him walking around. He always carries a sock or
a sock
with he's
something
always laughing and looking for a bit of mischief.
Exactly.
He never looks at you.
No.
I remember one day. Do you remember when I used to go up and I always talk to him when I see him? And one day he came up and smacked me really hard, and you were really panicking. And I said, no, I think he's actually saying hello. Yeah. And I was quite touched by that, you know, having a good wallop of him.
I'm glad you feel that way.
I was. It was
Once
like,
you've had a few,
there we are, we've got a connection going.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, he's got erratic behaviour, actually, you know. Puberty with all its problems.
Yeah,
you know, for
even for normal,
yeah, he doesn't understand what's happening to him, so
maybe
he's moody and hope, but he was, and hope he will be afterwards, a calmer child or adult.
Yeah.
So, But...
where is Ben at now? And where are you as a family? I mean, for me, looking in on you, weirdly, you're most calmest, I would say. And we've always ran a tandem friendship. We've either both been traumatic experienced or having a great time. There's kind of we've gone along in a roller coaster together, really.
We're in an okay space.
Yeah,
I think is the best way to describe it. We successfully won a court case for Ben, proving the hospital's negligence at birth. And consequently, Ben is now in a fabulous, the most fabulous school, Priors Court. I'm going to mention them. Priors Court in Thatcham, Newbury, and they have been brilliant. Ben is now residential there.
I'm sorry, I've just got to interrupt you because you're skipping over, for me, I mean, you don't have to go into it, but that, if I'm right in remembering, it took 7 years to sort that out.
Well, it did.
Which is ridiculous.
It did.
And they were trying to make you, my friend Joe here, look like an idiot. And that's proper shocking.
Well, it was. I mean, they tried to tell us that we'd maybe lost important documents that we'd never had, like scans and things like that. They were very late in sending their information to our solicitors. It was hideous. Our solicitors thought this was an open and shut case. It was so, well, it was just open and shut, but yet they still tried to make out that it wasn't. So we ended up having to go to court. I actually stood and gave evidence in the Royal Courts of Justice in London.
Which is just a shocker, isn't it?
Which is not the best of things to do, but I think
by that time you just kind of, I saw you rise up into yourself.
Well, we'd had enough.
Yeah, you had.
We'd had enough.
You really had.
Exactly. Yeah. And we knew that we weren't at fault. We knew we hadn't been given any information.
And really, how dare they suggest you are?
I know. But I suppose they have to.
Yeah.
They fight.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, where's this money coming from?
Yeah.
But, that's not our problem.
But the truth of the matter is, and the reason that you were fighting, really the crux of the matter, is that Ben will outlive you. And you want to make sure that he's okay.
Well, we weren't actually, when we started the fight, we didn't actually know that this was going to be how it ended.
No.
We wanted to know what his medical records said, because of this blue badge. It developed from there, really.
And
so
then
we
started to piece two and two
exactly.
together.
And they started to say things like, well, he should never have left hospital in the state he was in. Did they give him a blood sugar test? Well, no. Why would they? Why would they do that? No. We weren't told anything, so it was just us wanting a blue badge that triggered this whole thing off.
Yeah.
And
7 years of hell, really.
Yeah, was it 7? It was a long time.
It might have been longer than 7, but it was certainly a minimum, because I just remember going through my divorce and a whole lot of stuff. We used to phone each other up. Actually, I used to sometimes dread speaking to you because I knew you'd make me laugh, and I wasn't in a mood to be made laugh, and I know you felt the same, but we always used to end up laughing.
We did, even if we started off crying.
Completely
we'd end up laughing.
We'd do everything in between, but finish on a really supportive note for each other, I think,
Always. I mean, sometimes looking back, I think maybe I could have been a bit more supportive, but when you're going through what you're going through, you sort of get lost sometimes,
impossible.
Don't you?
Yeah, it is impossible.
Yeah.
I feel, listening to you here, I feel the same, but I just think, I was lost in my own stuff going on.
Well, everybody's family is important to them, and their problems are important to them.
Well, I think certainly what we acknowledge in each other is that we've been as supportive as we can to each other, and I always know when things aren't right with you because you go very quiet. So I just think, okay, where is she?
I'm all right at the moment.
Yeah,
not so quiet.
Yeah, so which is a good thing. Yeah. So Ben's at the wonderful Priors Court.
He's at the wonderful Priors Court School. He's there for 44 weeks. We have him home at weekends and school holidays, or every other weekend and school holidays. They've done amazing things with him. Yeah. Just one small thing, which would be taken for granted for everyone else. But before he went to Priors Court, all he would eat was mashed up or liquidised food, mashed potato, that sort of thing, squashed up. If he had bread, it was soaked in spaghetti, that sort of thing. And within a couple of weeks, he was eating things like McNuggets. We never took him to McDonald's. We don't eat at McDonald's. But we rejoiced when they told us he'd eaten chicken nuggets from McDonald's, because it meant he chewed something.
Well, the fact he'd been out to McDonald's as well,
He chewed something and swallowed it rather than spat it out because he couldn't tolerate the texture. Yeah. He started eating biscuits and crisps, everything perhaps that he shouldn't really be eating a lot of, but we just wanted to eat these things because he'd never done it. And now he eats pretty much anything.
Yeah. And they take him shopping.
He's
no idea what he's giving, but he does get on with the process of it,
He knows the idea of it, yes. So he can choose cake, and pay for it.
And he
things like
has
this.
a thing that I found really brilliant when I came round once. He's got a picture book that they've made for him with pictures in, and he can point to things that he wants.
Yes.
Crikey, that's life-changing.
Well, it is. I mean, when we first started to try that when he was 2 and 3, it didn't really work because all he did was use the actual pictures as like flappers and flap them around everywhere. And so it wouldn't work. But yeah, now... Yeah, it's not always works perfectly, but it depends on his mood.
Yeah.
He gets obsessed with certain pictures in the book.
Well, I remember he just pointed at biscuits non-stop that I was there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When he's at school, he's got a little chart of what he's going to do now, next, and if he had his way, it would be snack time, lunchtime, going on the track, snack time, lunchtime, and nothing in between.
Yeah.
And he has done that. He's filled his own chart in before with that. And he takes it off other people's
that's
charts,
amazing.
sticks them on his own.
Because he knows what he wants.
He doesn't want to do the schoolwork. He wants to go on the track or eat snack.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
So
we all want to do that.
Yeah. Also, when Ben comes home, we've got a fabulous team of carers who are with him 24/7. Which gives us our life as a whole family. So we're not carers. We were told by our solicitors and the judge that we are not carers, we are parents. And we do things that a parent would do with their children, not a carer would do. And we, as I say, we've got the best team, brilliant team, who make our life so much easier. And we can enjoy Ben when he comes home.
Yeah.
He's there hopefully till he's 25, and then we start looking for somewhere else
for the next phase.
Or he comes home and lives with us. We need to see what he's going to be like, what's best for him.
Yeah.
My dream would be that he could live at home with a team of carers, and enjoy farm life because he's an outdoor boy. He loves being outdoors. But we will see how he is and what's best for him.
And make a decision at the time.
Make a decision. I mean, it's awful. The time that he went, just before he went to Prior's Court, I was at probably one of my lowest, because I just couldn't imagine life without seeing him every day.
You don't want to let go of him.
You don't want to. No, I mean, it's like, although he was 12, 13, it was like he was still a baby. And can you imagine giving your baby up and only seeing them every other weekend? And we could have him home at the other weekends, but then he wouldn't get to do weekend activities at school.
No, and actually,
and go on
he
trips.
Loves it, doesn't he?
He absolutely does.
He does, yeah.
And it's not. I try to get through it. I think when it's not about my emotions.
No.
This is about what's best for Ben.
For Ben, yeah.
And what's best for him is that he stays there. He's got continuity. Does all sorts of fabulous things.
And that's a test for you.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for you.
It is.
You've not only had to get through the whole experience of it, but even now you're still being challenged with your own emotions
all the time.
And
I
then
still
cry. You have friends like me that then turn around and say the very favourite thing that where you might
at least he's happy.
Yeah, because he is.
Yeah, I know he is.
He really is happy.
It doesn't help that though when
it doesn't. No. But I've spent quite a bit of time with him, and I'm always just amazed at his smiles and gets on with his own stuff. I think, blimey, at the time, I think I was in a bit of a fix myself, and I just remember thinking, gosh, look at, he's so happy and life's very simple for him. From your perspective, I was trying to help you, but what I think I did was probably made it worse, which is amazing because, when I had cancer, people say things to you that drive you insane.
Yeah.
I know they mean well, but they say some really cruel things. So I'm forever apologising to you for saying that.
I understand where you were coming from, but but I would rather he was a normal, miserable child,
Yeah.
But I know. He is happy, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it really is.
And he's got no idea.
No.
It's us. It's us that have the idea, and it's us that have to cope with it.
Yeah, you're projecting yourself onto him.
Exactly.
And his experience isn't that.
No.
So to kind of finish off, really, I just wondered, other people listening in to this that might be going through a similar experience, for example, what would you not advise, because advice is not needed, is it? But advice isn't needed. But what would you say have been your biggest turning points and that you could encourage others to do?
Well, one thing we did Shortly after we won the case, we were invited back to the solicitors in London to give a talk to health professionals, midwives. And the one thing I said, well, I said quite a bit, but one of the things I said at the end was just, please listen to the parent. And if the parent, the mother, the father, have got any queries, any problems, ask. You know, don't be afraid of asking. Push yourself forward. I mean, if you suspect anything, investigate it, because you need the help. There's not a great deal of help out there if you don't. Well, there is a great deal of help out there, but if you don't look for it,
and you don't know it's there,
exactly,
because you're a novice to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've just got to ask, and you've got to shout.
And so, do you think, you coming at it fresh again, how would you have handled it differently? Because I'm just listening to you say that and wonder, if you could have met somebody going through similar experience, would that have helped? Or?
It probably would have done, and we would have not have waited till he was 3, 4 or whatever it was when we started the blue badge thing. We would have done it from the very beginning. We wouldn't have waited till he was 12, 13 to go to this school, because if he'd have gone 5 years earlier, 7 years earlier, or whatever it would have been, he would have been developing a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And when they're younger,
it's easier.
It's easier.
Yeah, yeah.
So just if there is anybody out there that you can speak to.
So what I'm hearing, which is right back to where we started really, is you need to connect with people and not be frightened. You've got to the advocating for yourself is absolutely colossal. And some people just don't have the ability to do that. Or I think once you get into your stride, because it wasn't your natural domain, was it? Let's be honest.
Oh God,
you're not that kind of person.
No.
But you've become it.
Yeah, I mean,
you've understood you need to fight for what you, because it's your child.
It is. I mean, my husband is the pusher, and he would not let it rest.
No.
I don't know how far I would have got. I don't know if I'd have been a single parent, what would I have done? I don't know whether I'd have even gone for all of this. I don't know how I would have coped.
Like.
No, so,
having a good partner that's...
Absolutely.
And the thing about
he led the
Robin,
way, basically.
He's got a policing background, which tells you all you need to know. He's a fair chap.
Yes.
And wants to have right done. And
absolutely.
I think that would have grated against his values badly.
I mean, we just wanted to know. We wanted justice for Ben, and we got it.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that he was the driving force behind us both, really.
But I think it's difficult because it's hidden. Your outcome and the fact that there had been mistakes made was hidden, because you can't actually, as an outsider, which you were, you can't see that didn't all happen. So you were just thinking, this is how it is.
Yes. We had many a conversation about, perhaps it was just that
it's just how it is.
It was just unlucky. He's small for dates.
And so many people will have just accepted that and moved on in life. So I think, I just wonder that the encouragement I'm hearing from you really is to reach out and connect with people.
Absolutely,
and
go for it.
I know that you had a great support with Robin, and he is a terrific guy. He did pull me out of a ditch one time, so I'm always grateful to him for that. And the fact that you can connect and you've made the effort to connect, and even when you didn't want to, I think is priceless really in your keeping your sanity. Yeah.
Well, everything was for the best for Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, and I still think that. I mean, I still treat him like I have to protect him, like you would a baby, basically. Because as your children grow older, you treat them differently, you feel about them differently. The love never goes, but I think when they're babies, they're different. It's a different love.
Oh, it is. It's a vulnerability
it
that
really
they have,
is, and that is how
it cracks you wide open.
Exactly, that is how I feel still about Ben.
Yeah,
as if he was a baby.
Yeah,
and needs protecting. Yeah, every way through.
Well, Jo, an enormous thank you for opening up with that conversation, because I know it's been difficult, and I know it's been difficult to talk about it because we had to start again at one point because we were, emotions are high. But the truth of the matter is that's got to be a very helpful, insightful conversation for other people going through the same. And I'm really grateful to you for popping by and sitting around my dining table and having a chat.
My pleasure. I just hope it can help somebody.
Yeah, lovely. If you like this podcast, like it, comment on it, or share it. Thank you.